And have a listen to this. Have a listen to this.
Interest rates are higher, and people don't like that, but you should be welcoming a stronger economy.
And maybe a deal has a point about the machinery of capitalism being oiled with the blood of the
The
worker.
United States is a country that has always paid all of its bills.
Lannister always pays his debts.
Don't let the bastards get you.
Hello and welcome to Comedian versus Economist. My name's Adam and we're joined, as always, by my little older brother and real-life economist, Thomas. Hi, Thomas.
G'day, Adam. How you going?
Yeah, going very well, thank you. Hey, we'd love it if you referred CVE to a friend. Next time someone asks you, hey, can you recommend a good sports psychologist? You can say no. But if you want a cracking economics podcast, CVE is what you need. Thomas, massive show coming up. The United States has been forced to go to cash converters to sell some old DVDs after its credit rating was downgraded to AA1. A new report suggests governments might actually be efficient. The 400-page report concludes the 7-year-long investigation from Australia's Department of Efficiency Department. And China is rejecting American blockbuster movie franchises. Weirdly, they seem uninterested to even know if there is a Kung Fu Panda 5. But first, Thomas, boomers are partying like it's 1999 still. What's going on?
Yeah, no, it's interesting and some concerning results here. That
Oh, this sounds like investigative journalism.
It does, yes. No, apparently the medical community is worried about the rise of sexually transmitted diseases in retirees.
Really?
Yeah.
Getting it on.
Getting it on, yeah. So the range of STIs, but say gonorrhea, for example, in Americans aged over 55 has gone up 6 times since 2010. So it's 6x'd.
Why is the obvious question. Are they spending more time in the club? In the over 50s club?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think they did point to the rise of retirement communities as one of the factors driving this trend. Yeah, so Dr. Janine Streckenrider in the Lancet Medical Journal says today's older adults are more likely to participate in the hookup culture of casual encounters and condomless sex, which might be further encouraged by the availability of drugs for sexual dysfunction. Oh,
not party drugs within the...
I thought you were just talking about
not Beryl down in Unit 7's dealing some coke.
Yeah.
Randy's getting randy again.
Yeah, so drugs for sexual dysfunction, the commonality of living in retirement communities, and the increased use of dating apps for seniors.
Are they special dating apps for seniors? I haven't used a dating app. I don't know what's out there now.
Yeah. I don't know.
Tinder was still the one when I last tuned into dating apps. Which
yeah. Well, maybe there's a seniors one.
Elder. But without their ER, ELDR. Yeah.
Oh, there's a startup idea. Let's get out of the podcast business. Launch Elder.
Doesn't really ooze sexy though, does it?
No. Yeah.
When I'm thinking casual hookup, I'm not turning to Elder on my smartphone. It's probably not even on a smartphone. It's like a dial-up service you have to call. Yeah, ask the operator. Operator without just operator.
It's just a mail catalogue in the letterbox.
Audi, Coles. Oh, here's the Elder catalogue. Oh, he looks all right. And he's on special. Well, you're right. This is concerning.
Dear.
It's concerning and also something I don't want to think about for a lot longer.
Syphilis in the UK up 31% for over 65-year-olds. In 4 years. 4 years, up 31%.
Syphilis? Haven't heard of that since kind of wartime.
I know, it's coming back.
I wonder if there's too, like, because pensioners get like discount medications. So like maybe just the concern isn't there. Like you get a bit of syphilis, you just add it to the weekly pill dispenser. Like Monday's cholesterol, Tuesday, like heart meds, syphilis Wednesday as it's known in the community.
Maybe. They're saying there's two things. Well, the reason why it's on the up is also because people over 55 are more drunk and more high than they used to be.
There's some shocking revelations about the older community, which was that I had no idea about. So not only are they just bonking like rabbits, but
they're drunk and high.
They're also drinking and taking drugs more.
Yeah. So alcohol use in the general population.
I'm going to have to give Mum a call.
Just check in on her.
Just check in. Hey, Dad, what you been up to?
Yeah, so in the general population, alcohol use is on the way down, saying that, so Gallup had a question there, have you ever had occasion to use alcoholic beverages?
Good question, Gallup.
Good question, isn't it? I don't know why
Isn't there one job coming up with really insightful questions? That one barely even English.
It's very proper English thinking. Do you ever have occasion to use alcoholic beverages?
But even the term use, like as like a sex toy or like as part of your games.
Cleaning,
you know. Yeah.
So,
some rubbing alcohol, which, in this context, could be just normal, could be normal alcohol.
So but in the general population, that's down 72% to 62% in 20 years to 2023. But for over 55, it's up to 59% from 49%.
But is it also that the drug generation is moving into that bracket?
I think that's right. Like there's a demographic shift. So it's the people who grew up, were partying in the 80s and 90s. They just didn't stop. So they're just still partying. Plus they're peak wealth. So we know that people over 55 have done well out of COVID. Their savings went up and they're much wealthier than they were relative to the rest of the population. So those factors are combining to make for party times. No
more driving around to Moyle at 12 o'clock in the evening to buy a 50 bag. They've got that wealth now. They get Uber. They get Uber Eats like bags delivered. Yeah. What about you, Thomas? You're nearing boomer age. Because you're going to be in there soon. Yeah. Are you going to stop your MDMA fueled sex parties, or are you just going to keep going?
No, we'll just add more champagne. I think.
All right, Thomas, the United States, holder of all the monies, but no credit rating. They've had a downgrade. What's going on?
Yeah, they got a downgrade from Moody's this week, lowering it from AAA to AA1. There's 21 notches on the rating scale, apparently. So, copped the downgrade. Just looking at saying, recognise the US still has significant economic and financial strengths, but these no longer fully counterbalance the decline in fiscal metrics. US federal debt has risen sharply relative to...
What does this mean?
Kind of not much. The weird thing is there are three ratings agencies, Fitch, S&P Global Ratings and Moody's Ratings. Fitch downgraded them a couple of years ago. S&P downgraded them in 2011. So they the rating agencies haven't been on the same page for a while. So this kind of just catches Moody's up with everyone else.
So this is a non-event. This is like a...
Well, but this comes at an interesting time. Like it's an unfortunate time for Trump because he's trying to get the budget package through. The budget package has big tax cuts front-loaded with then some spending cuts at the back end. So like tax cuts in the next 4 years, spending cuts the 4 years after that. But has a big, massive drop in the deficit. Deficit's now heading to 12%. So people saying like, oh, this is a kind of a pretty loose budget that he's trying to get through. And Moody's is like, yeah, we see that and we're cutting the ratings. The White House, true to form, has just come out and attacked Moody's. So White House Director of Communications, Stephen Chung, said, Mark Zandi, the economist for Moody's, is an Obama advisor and Clinton donor who has been a never-Trumper since 2016. Nobody takes his analysis seriously. He's been proven wrong time and time again.
I feel like he didn't do it on his own, though. Like, this has come from Moody's. Like, he would have escalated the report up through the chain and before downgrading the US.
Yeah, just some rogue analyst at Moody's.
He's an intern. He was only here for a week. He was here for what'd you do on work experience, Johnny? I downgraded the US
credit rating.
Oh yeah.
But then Mark Zandi's come back and gone, oh yeah, I don't actually work for Moody's ratings. I work for Moody's Analytics, which is a completely different firm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so cop the downgrade.
Yeah.
I think the other thing I love is Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has come out and been like, oh, yeah, whatever. Like, this is saying it's forward, backward looking. But he's like, on the Moody's downgrade, who cares? Qatar doesn't, Saudi Arabia doesn't, UAE doesn't. I was like, what?
And that's the main thing. That's, yeah.
But it's kind of saying like our mates are going to keep buying our bonds no matter what we do because that's kind of the economic world order we've constructed.
Yeah.
So Qatar's going to keep buying our bonds no matter what. So whatever.
It sounds a lot like getting cut off from the bank and getting rejected from a home loan and just being like, don't worry, I got a mate, Fat Tony. He's going to hook me up with some cash. It's all sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, but it's kind of saying like, but the implication of that, we can just keep spending and borrowing and going further into debt because we've got this cozy relationship with Qatar, which is like an oppressive autocracy. And Saudi Arabia and UAE, and they're going to keep buying our money, so we're good. It's like, wow, that's the world order you're backing. Okay.
And so there's no concern. Like, is there any precedent for this sort of thing? Like, is there any?
When was it? When S&P, when they cut in 2011, and they were the first to do so, the stock market, the S&P 500, ironically, dropped 20%. So it was a huge drop. But this one market's got a little bit of a wobble, copped a bit of news, but then everyone sort of went like, I kind of know that. I mean, the other thing is like downgrading to AA1. It's like, yeah, but it is America, and the American war machine is backing that. Like, it's kind of like if you think about it, it's meant to reflect the risk of default, right? So it's like it's meant to help investors understand the risks they're working with. Does the West Australian government have less of a default risk than America? Like,
what's the WA government got to do with it? Oh, they got AAA.
They've got a AAA credit rating.
Yeah.
So, you know, last time I checked, they didn't have any aircraft carriers.
No. They got a lot of iron.
That's true.
We can build some aircraft. I mean, they've got aircraft carriers. They just haven't built them yet. They've got the bits.
Got deconstructed aircraft carriers.
Yeah, right. So what happens if it gets real bad? Like, how do they recover? Or do they don't bother? They're not going to bother. Like, I'm just picturing them like, if it keeps getting downgraded, the US just have to start selling off assets. Like, you'll just see Statue of Liberty on Marketplace. Just buys or swaps.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's a thing. Like, last year, America spent more on interest payments than they did on defense.
Right.
And on current projections, that's going up. So, like, at some point, you know, the interest payments alone just become unsustainable, and everyone recognizes that. And it's this thing. Every government talks about it, and Republicans typically, but you know, every government always goes like, we're going to be fiscally responsible. We're going to balance the budget. We're not going to go too much into debt. But then every government then just goes the other way. You know, and these massive tax cuts that Trump's driving through, with maybe some spending cuts after the next election. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe.
I mean, it feels like an opportunity to just like for some money printing to occur too, if that's what they need.
Yeah, it's true.
It's the kind of simplistic solution that could happen from Trump, I reckon. It'd just be like, what? We'll just print more money.
We're out of money.
We need money. We're running out of money. Print more.
I got a mate, Fat Tony's. Got to sort us out.
All right, let's take a break there, grab a word from this week's sponsor. Coming up after the break, we're going to be looking at government inefficiencies and why China isn't watching Hollywood films anymore. Back with more right after this. Welcome back. You're on Comedian versus Economist. You'll find us at CVE Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. If you're looking for us, better still, why not share us? Share us with a friend. Help grow the CVE listenership. But Thomas, we are looking at government inefficiencies or lack thereof. There's a long-standing assumption, I guess, that governments are inefficient organisations, but maybe not so.
Yeah. There are a couple of data points against that idea this week, which I thought were interesting. The first comes from a Doge employee who's exiting Doge. He did an interview with Fast Company. He's a tech founder called Sahil Lavingia, and he's a tech entrepreneur and volunteered to work for Doge at Veterans Affairs, which employs nearly 500,000 people.
500,000 people. That's a lot. That is a big department.
That's a big org for Veterans Affairs. Yeah,
they got a lot of vets. A lot of veterans.
It's true
in the States, but still.
The thing he noted that there wasn't as much waste as he expected. He expected people shuffling paper and being miserable and doing nothing, but he found people who loved their jobs, saying like the culture shock is mostly there's a lot of meetings that don't end up in a lot of decisions, but honestly it's kind of fine because the government works. It's not as inefficient as I was expecting, to be honest. I was hoping for more easy wins.
Yeah, I mean a lot of meetings, not a lot of decisions. Does sound pretty inefficient. I gotta be honest. On the face of it, if that was the finding, it doesn't really kind of correlate with, on the whole, not very many inefficiencies. If there are a lot of meetings and not a lot of decisions being made.
I think the Republicans hyped this up in the lead up to the election and sort of where Doge came in, and they sort of created this mythology that there was just entire organizations of people doing nothing, and also like protecting transgender rights for turtles and, silly things that the government just shouldn't be doing, and created this idea that Doge was just going to come in and just like go, okay, transgender turtle defense department, you're gone. All you people who are doing nothing for months, you're gone. And I think what he's saying is like, it's not that. There's not those easy wins that Doge was hyping and the Republican Party was hyping and saying, yeah, sure, there's meetings and some of those meetings don't end up in decisions, but it's still working and there's still stuff happening. I think it's that Doge overhyped it. And I think this is what we're seeing. We're not seeing Doge cutting billions out of the budget as was expected, which comes back to the previous point is like Trump's tax cuts were being sold as being responsible because they're going to make it up with spending cuts, with Doge finding these massively inefficient departments and culling them. And Doge just doesn't seem to be doing that.
Is it possible that he just got brought into the culture though when he was in the government? Like, because it can happen almost without realizing. It's a coffee break. It's a why don't you it's a morning tea to celebrate Wayne's 20 years of service. You just get brought into the fold, and before you know it,
it's like Avatar. He's gone Avatar. He's gone native.
He's gone native. He just got in there and he would have started asking some questions like, why do we do this? And he would have got answers like, look, that goes a long way back. There's a good reason behind it, but we're going to need to pull in a lot of people together. And
you could change it, but you're going to need improvement from like at least 4 department heads.
Yeah. And to the point that, eventually when you're in that environment long enough, you do buy in. You start going like, I get it. It all makes sense. And before you know it, you're part of the problem.
So, that could also be the case. We can't rule that out.
I mean, this guy's only had 3 jobs, hasn't he? This bloke?
That's right. He's an entrepreneur. He started businesses, I think. Like, he hasn't had many jobs, but he started
but
businesses.
He's effectively retired and he's volunteering at the Veterans Affairs Department as how committed is he really? He's volunteering. He's like, whatever. He's like... Just like all those other government workers that are in there, they're like, you can't sack me. I've been here 25 years. You know the redundancy payout on firing 500,000 people, making them redundant would be? The US, we just talked about the US. They're close to defaulting on their loans. They haven't got the money to make people redundant. So along comes a volunteer worker. He's doing community service. Just saying there might be another side to this story. We shouldn't take this, guys.
Yeah, maybe. But we do have data from The Economist magazine which looks at government efficiency. So the World Bank, they measure government efficiency. And what they find is there's kind of a relationship between size and efficiency or effectiveness.
Right.
So like the larger the public service, the more it seems to get done. I mean, it's tricky because measuring effectiveness for the public sector is tricky because it's not like you're just counting widgets per person.
Yeah.
So they have indicators that look at administrative quality, including perceptions of corruption and then program delivery, which includes public satisfaction. So there's a lot of like subjective evaluation in there. But for all that, there seems to be a correlation that the larger your public service, the more effective it is, which is interesting.
Is there some other correlations in there though? Like, is it the less corrupt your government is, the more efficient? Efficient?
No, it seems pretty tight.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that. Yeah, because it's fairly linear relationship. But the other thing that's interesting is Australia has the largest public sector in the world per capita, which I didn't realise.
And we're one of the most efficient
And one of the most effective. Yeah.
Go, you little Aussie.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah. No Doge for you.
Morning teas all round. All right, Thomas, finally on the show, it seems that China are rejecting Hollywood movie franchises, or at least sequels, and what's the third one in the series? Whatever they are, they're not watching them. What's going on?
No, yeah. So one of the things that China did in the trade spat that it's still ongoing is that they said they were going to import less Hollywood movies. They didn't import many to begin with. There's a quota of 10 a year. 10 Hollywood movies a year can be screened previously could be screened in China, but they're dropping that. They're not saying how low they're going with that, but they're cutting that back, less reliance on Hollywood.
Right.
It's an interesting one because it's a big splash of a statement. We're not taking any Hollywood movies, but kind of the trend domestically has been against Hollywood anyway, particularly with the trade war escalating. People have sort of gone off sort of big American productions. And the chart we're looking at here is the revenue in China from movies and their sequels like Moana and then Moana 2 and then Kung Fu Panda 3 and Kung Fu Panda 4.
Yeah.
Despicable Me 3, Despicable Me 4. Wow. I can't believe wow. Okay. Fast and the Furious 9 versus Fast and the Furious 10. Oh, la la. Anyway.
I'd be surprised if someone's watching, if someone in China, right? So you've got the language barrier, you've got subtitles, you've got nuance that always gets lost through that process, through the translation process. Someone watching Fast and the Furious 9 would be forgiven for going, I'm pretty sure I've seen this. It's Vin Diesel, a bald-headed guy, he's in every one of them. I totally forgive anyone in China just looking at that going, yeah, this looks a lot the same. So I don't blame them. I think I maybe watched Fast and the Furious 2. I didn't see anything after that, and I see that they're now up to Fast and the Furious 10, or Fast and the Furious X, as it's called, Fast X. But guess what, Thomas? Do you know what the next one in the franchise is?
No.
So we've gone Fast and the Furious 1 through 9, then Fast X. The next one, Fast X Part 2. Oh. So Fast and the Furious 10 has its own sequel. Fast X Part 2.
Oh, my God.
Well, they're lost. I say, Thomas, if China doesn't want to watch Fast X Part 2, then fine.
I mean, I could kind of get why the Chinese population is getting over this. I mean,
I think we're all over it, aren't we? Surely we're all over it.
Surely Godzilla versus Kong didn't need a sequel. That's a one-concept movie. That's a comeback.
Who won? Well, neither, actually. It was a tie. So
rematch.
Come back for the rematch in some Rocky series kind of remake of.
Yeah. So I think that maybe there is a bit of franchise fatigue driving these falls.
Yeah,
but
have to be,
yeah. But I also think, there's probably three factors. There's franchise fatigue. There's a shift in sentiment towards American cultural products. But then there's also the rise of a domestic film industry in China.
Yeah, it's massive.
Which is growing strongly. Yeah. So it's now up to 80% of all box office revenue is from domestically produced movies.
And I'll be honest, I'd probably enjoy the top shelf Chinese film over the top shelf Hollywood film. Well, most of them I've seen are garbage, the Hollywood ones.
Yeah.
If anything, this might serve to strengthen relations between China and the rest of the world, excluding the US. If some Chinese diplomats and Australian diplomats are getting together in a bar and they're like, hey, we blocked Venom, The Last Dance.
Yeah.
And the Aussie's like, yeah, I saw it. It's trash. They're all trash. What are we doing?
Anyway, do you want to get behind Crocodile Dundee 4?
That does it for this week for CVE. Thank you so much for tuning in. As I say, we'd really appreciate it if you shared CVE with a friend. Send them this episode. Link them. Tag them right now in the wherever you're watching or listening. Really appreciate you tuning in, though, each and every week. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you for listening this week. Until next time on Comedian versus Economist, it's bye for now.
You have been listening to an Equity Mates Media production. In the spirit of reconciliation, Equity Mates Media acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. This podcast is intended for education and entertainment purposes. Any advice is general advice only and has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances, needs, or objectives. Before acting on general advice, you should consider if it is relevant to your needs and read the relevant product disclosure statement. And if you're unsure, please speak to a financial professional. The hosts of this podcast and their guests may have positions in the companies mentioned. Equity Mates Media operates under an Australian Financial Services Licence 540697.